Hey folks, Ardwulf here. Welcome. Today we're going to take a look at the city of Aleath for the Harn setting from Columbia Games. This was part of the Cities of Harn Kickstarter for a while back. You can definitely still get this through both Drive-Thru RPG, which is honestly how I tend to buy these things, just because it's kind of like my whole PDF library sitting there. Or you can get them directly from Columbia Games. Now, if you're interested in Harn, you may want to watch the live streams this month, October 2022, because I will have $50 credits for Columbia Games as giveaways, so please do check those out. But in the meantime, today we're going to take a look at the city of Aleath. Okay, so this is one of the smaller cities of Harn, and it's one of the smaller city articles that was part of the Cities of Harn Kickstarter. This is 24 pages, full color. I think you can still get hard copies of these. You can order printed copies of these from Columbia Games, but you'd be getting basically print-on-demand sheets anyway, right? Loose leaf sheets. So I think the sensible approach is to buy these things in PDF and print them out and organize them however you like. But looking at the city of Aleath, this is the biggest city in the Kingdom of Candé, which we've covered previously, so check that video out. If I remember, I'll put a thing in the corner so that you can hop over to that video, but I probably won't remember. But if there's a thing up there, go click on that if you want to learn more about the context of the Kingdom of Candé, which is... This is an oversimplification to call it the good guy kingdom, but if there's a good guy kingdom on Harn, then Candé is a candidate for that role. The Church of Lorani, the Noble Lady of Paladins, is very prominent here, and here they actually take that very seriously. As opposed to on the other side of Harn, where you've got a different Loranian fighting order conducting a genocide against a tribal people, and it's fairly ugly and a great plot hook. So you can go in and step on that if you want to have your campaign be based on that idea. So Aleath is the largest city, and it's the main port of the Kingdom of Candé, but it is not the capital. It is instead a chartered free town. So basically there is a royal charter that says that the city runs itself, and the folks that do that are only answerable to the king as opposed to a feudal lord of some lower rank. This place was sacked by the theocracy of Tekos some time ago. This is the very bad news Morgathian theocracy that ruled most of Western Harn for a generation or so. It has been tied into the history of the Kingdom of Aleathia, which was a state that resisted even the Korani Empire, the most powerful empire ever to exist on Harn, the most powerful state. But it was no match for the theocracy of Tekos, which was at its zenith at that time. Aleath is a wealthy city. You can see population approximately 5,800. The definition, by the way, if I haven't mentioned this, in Harn of what's a city versus just a town, is that it's walled, basically. It's got a certain amount of population, and it's walled. Some of the other non-walled cities have comparable populations, though. 5,800, Harn is a very medieval place. That is a very reasonable population number for a decent-sized city. The tax policy is used to discourage the urban poor from dwelling within the walls in order to keep the reputation and perception of the city up. So here on page 2, let me mention that writing credits on this are N. Robin Crosby, the creator of Harn, Tom Dalglish, and Ed King. Those are names that you'll see a lot of in a lot of the Harn material. So here we go into history, and we get a little timeline. We get the taxes, right? Property taxes, hawking taxes, pilotage taxes, all that stuff. You don't get a ton of history here. You're really going to get more of that history in the Kingdom articles. But you do get a little bit, and you get some information about the government. Now, the Mangai that are mentioned here are sort of the Council of Guild Masters that run a lot of the commerce in urban Harn, but also to some extent in rural Harn as well. There's a very this is one of the ahistorical parts of Harn. Actually, in medieval Europe, the guild system wasn't quite this well developed, quite this early. Harn is a pretty good analog to late Anglo-Saxon Britain, so prior to 1066, and guilds grew and continued to grow in power for several hundred years after that. There's some stuff about the economics and the religion here. Canon laws of the Kingdom of Candé apply here. Lorani and Peony, who is sort of the harvest goddess of of healing and bounty and things like that. Also very popular here. They are tax exempt. It's going to tell me that there is a temple of Save Kanor, who is the god of knowledge or hidden knowledge. It's going to tell us that worship of the Dark Trinity, Agric Morgath, and Nave is punishable by death. This is pretty common throughout a good chunk of Harn, certainly in Candé and in Meldarine, and maybe in Candé, in Kaldor. That may be the case. I'm not sure I remember. Here's some information on the city's military, city walls and gates, city guard. The Order of the Checkered Shield is the fighting order of Lorani, the Lady of Paladins, who is preeminent here on Western Harn, and we get some background on that. And here we start getting into the actual maps. We'll see the full map in a minute here. It's later in the article, but there are city districts, which we get a brief description of. There are some villages outside the walls, which we get a pretty minimal amount of information on. We get some info on the various members of the city council. Caer Erinroth is the citadel of the city of Aleath, so we get some information on that, and I'm guessing we might get floor plans of that. I'm not sure. And here we start getting into individual descriptions of not all of the buildings, but you can assume that those buildings we don't get descriptions of are probably apartment or residential type buildings. And there's tons and tons and tons of detail in here, and a lot of these, frankly, have plot hook ramifications, right? So, for example, just picking something at random here. Here's the Mercantiler, Siled of Mered. Quality is 4 out of 5 stars. Size is 3, which is just kind of the size of the business. One of Aleath's wealthiest usurers. He is primarily a merchant financier, and his promissory notes are widely accepted throughout Harn. So if you're like maybe not in Aleath and you find that suddenly his promissory note is not being accepted, what does that mean? Maybe your party got paid with such a promissory note, assuming it would be good. So rich in plot hooks as all of the Harn material really is. And we're going to continue to go through here, and many of the pages of this article will be these building descriptions. And these are rich with characters as well. We get pictures of a lot of characters. Art here is by, I should say that, but Richard Luschek and Eric Hotz. I don't know that Eric Hotz is doing any work with Columbia anymore, but he was the kind of cornerstone artist for quite a long time. Richard Luschek is doing a lot of the newer illustrations, and a lot of these are, in fact, newer illustrations. And you can see that we get like entire city blocks with floor plans here, too. Not every single building is mapped out, but that would probably be a lot. This is the Temple Hill district of Kedis. We've got some temples in here. There's a Temple of Lorani, Temple of Halia. Here's a Courtesans Guild. There's a Palace of Arms. The College of Heralds has a facility here. That's something that you can work in, and the guilds in general are probably something that warrant their own video, frankly. We do get a little more information about the outlying villages. That's actually pretty cool. I don't know that I've noticed that before. We also get an excerpt from the Atlas Harnica map, E8. These are like 1.5 to 2 page maps. Generally, they're designed to be printed on like an 11 by 17 piece of paper, and then you fold it in half and put it in a binder or whatever. So this is part of one of those, and it's part of E8. You can buy those individually. They're something like $5 a piece. Again, either from Drive-Thru or from Columbia Games directly. We get a list of related products that detail different other things on this map, like Sulvos Castle, Dunir Keep, for example. I don't know that they're on this map, but they're noteworthy sites inside the Kingdom of Candé. And then here is, on page 18, the player map. This says, these are really great city maps, in my opinion, by the way. This is the one you can hand out to the players, as opposed to the one on the previous page, which has all the building codes and all that stuff for the Game Master. Here is a Guild of Arcane Lore. So the Guild of Arcane Lore is not just wizards; it's also herbalists and enchanters and alchemists and scholars of obscure lore. But the Shekpvar, who are the wizards of Harn, are part of the Guild of Arcane Lore. So and they have a chantry here as well, which is not sure it's going to tell us here how many Shekvar are in the Chantry, but that information is somewhere. And there's a whole bunch of interesting detail here. Here's the Sword and Scepter. It's an inn. Here's the Leah Guild Hall. We've talked about the Leah before. They are the Harnic Thieves Guild. They are very shady, as you could imagine. Here's the Palace of Isle-Delay. This is called the Aleath Chancery, the primary seat of civic government. And we get, again, characters and room descriptions and floor plans of all this stuff. And we've actually reached the end of the article. Brief flip through with, I hope, at least some interesting tidbits for you of the City of Aleath from Columbia Games. So hopefully that has been useful or entertaining for you. Do check out the video about the Kingdom of Candé that I did earlier. Again, I'll put a link in the up top there so that you can check that out. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. I'd like to do more Harn content, and in fact, more Harn content is scheduled for this month. So hopefully you will all enjoy that. Please, thanks again for watching, and until next time, happy gaming.